guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with the Ship With Me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. Now I am filming this on August 4th, so we just got through basically the last week of July, which should hopefully be the last kind of serious week of summer sales slump. So it was a pretty decent sales volume weekend, but like sales prices weren't super great. A lot of stuff that sold super quick, a lot of stuff that took like a year to sell. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of just kind of information to put into our bank to take with us as we're outsourcing. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But guys, with that being said, it is mid-afternoon. I need to get these things packed up and over to the post office. It is boiling hot today, so let's get this shipment done. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. So the first piece we have here is this adorable little dress from Polly. Now Polly is in this kind of like, in my mind, there are all these kind of fast fashion brands on the internet right now. And for some reason, a lot of them have the word Polly in them. This is just a cute little strapless red dress. It's a size 14. So finding something like this, like kind of on the cusp of plus size, is pretty great. But the body of it is crepe, and then there's like satin panels up here on the bodice. So yeah, so there's Polly, there's Princess Polly, there's Molly. I don't, like, I feel like they've got to be like the same people, right? It's all very similar marketing, they're very similar clothes. Not to say that their clothes are bad quality, they're actually pretty decent quality across the board. Like all three of those brands I found, they're not gonna be found in Saks Fifth Avenue, but they're certainly better than like Shein, you know, they're better than Amazon stuff. I'd say that they're up there with kind of like the better side of Zara, but either way, I mean, they don't retail altogether too high. This probably retailed about $100. So it's not something you're gonna get $60 or $70 for, but you'll generally, when you find at least like a cocktail dress like this, you'll get like 30 to 40, which is not a bad price to get if you're sourcing it at the right price. I always love watching these things because these are the kind of brands that tend to come in and out really quickly. They'll be super hot for a summer and then we won't hear from them again. They'll still be around, but they won't be like as popular. Anyway, I had this listed for $38 and I had it listed for about 2 months, and I sent an offer for $34, which was accepted with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $25.20, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. So I hope she loves it. I hope that's for a fabulous little event. That is a really cute little like mini dress, perfect color red. Next up, now this is one that I've had for quite a while. This is Zara, and this is like a little plissé top. I liked the color, I liked the texture. This felt very minimalist for me, but this is one of those things that I kind of like. This would have been borderline something that I picked up at the bins. You know what I'm saying? Like it's on the edge of not significant enough for a Zara piece. And I think through selling this when I did, it kind of confirmed something in my mind that I'm not gonna be picking up stuff like this really anymore. It's super cute, but it's not necessarily significant enough. I mean, I had it for 7 or 8 months and it did not sell for much, and that is like a combination that doesn't work with my business model. Now, if you are somebody who does like Whatnot or live sales and you do a lot of like picking up and selling really quickly, and your model is based on like a low margin, perfect. This will probably sell really well in an application like that because it is very cute. And it actually looks better moving than it does in like a still picture, which is a real thing that comes into play when you are dealing with live sales versus like stagnant photos. But yeah, for me, if I see stuff like this, I'm gonna pass. Either way, I had this listed again for 7 or 8 months, and I had it listed for $22. Again, like I didn't anticipate getting a lot of money for this to start with. And I got an offer for $15, which I did accept with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $11.35, and this was a sale over on eBay. I hope she loves it. I mean, this is definitely something that was like on the chopping block for me, so glad to be getting it like on and getting some wear versus going back to the donation pile. That's always a best case scenario for me when I have something like that. Next up, now this is one that we've talked about quite a bit. This is Travis Matthew. Now Travis Matthew, for a very long time, these polos, this is called the heater polo. These were always a really quick in and out of my closet. I would pick them up for $1 or $2 and I'd be able to sell them for like $20 to $30, depending on the size and the color and all of that. And they've recently really slowed down. I think they got very saturated online. And it's a shame because they're really nice. You know, these are $90 polos. But anymore, I can generally expect to get about $15 for these, and it's nowhere near as fast as it used to be. So for me, for Travis Matthew, I'm probably gonna stick to picking up neutral colors only at the bins because I can get them at a price that I can be comfortable with. They don't take up a ton of space, which I do like, and I do know that they have, you know, pretty high demand. Like the slowest I've really experienced on these polos is probably this one at about 3 months. Usually, even though they're not in and out in a week for the most part anymore, they're usually in and out within a month or so. This one was a size small, so I'm not super surprised that it took a little bit longer to sell. But yeah, in general, I'm gonna be like bins only, trying to keep it to like size larges and extra larges because they always go way faster. But that is all to be said. If you golf or if you know somebody that golfs in your life, tell them to go online and pick up some Travis Matthew polos for $15, $20 because why are you paying $100 otherwise, right? So I had this listed again for about 3 months and I had it listed for $24. I used to list them, I think, for $32 and now I'm down to $24. And I got an offer for $20, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $15.11, and this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope he loves it again. Still happy to be getting those out of the waste stream. Next up, this is a beauty. This is one that my mom found. It's linen. It's from a brand called Artisan NY, Artisan New York. And I'm pretty sure that this used to be sold at Anthropologie. Either way, it's a white linen top with these beautiful inset pieces. This is very much a piece that could be 25 years old, could be 30 years old, could be 2 years old. And you would never know because it's such a classic style. Definitely, like, these kind of pieces will stay in wardrobes forever. And especially at the bins, I will pick these up anytime I see them and I will happily pay up for them so long as it's like reasonably priced in the thrift. Probably up to like $5, I'd be totally happy picking up something like this. Because I know it's gonna be a quick sale and I know it's gonna be a decent sale. Quality linen is just always a safe bet. Either way, I had this listed for just about 2 weeks, so case in point, and I had it listed for $32 and I got an offer for $28, which I did accept. With a roughly $1 cost at my mom's bins, this brought me to a profit of $21.48. This was a sale over on Poshmark, and I hope she loves it. As soon as I saw this, I knew that this would go quickly. It's just so pretty. I mean, who doesn't love a beautiful white linen top? Next up, now, if you ever see me and I'm out in a thrift and I see something like this and I don't pick it up, give me a few slaps across the face, please and thank you. This is from J. Jill. This is that beautiful rayon silk blend velvet. And you can always tell when you pick it up because it's got, I mean, it's rayon silk blend, but it has a drape like silk velvet. It doesn't feel like cotton velvet, which is like a lint magnet, nor does it feel like velour, like polyester velvet, which usually has some stretch to it. Like, this is rigid and it has the drape of silk, but it's usually only like 15% silk, so it just gives it that sheen, and then the rayon gives it the drape. Either way, people love it. And I understand why, because it really drapes beautifully and it gives the look of silk velvet without the price tag of silk velvet, which, if you can find it, is outrageously expensive. And that's if you can find it. It's certainly not something you're picking up at your local Joann Fabrics, rest in peace. But I have sold a ton of shirts just like this. They always come and go really quickly. I always get a pretty good price for them. Again, not something I'm gonna be like getting $60 for, but of my J. Jill pieces, the Love Linen and their velvet like this, I don't see it all that often, being as that this is California and it's usually quite warm here. Velvet is not a very commonly worn fabric, but at least not for the daytime. But I absolutely love this, and if you see something while you are outsourcing in this fabric, so long as the price is right, don't go paying $15 for this, but it's J. Jill. I don't think they're gonna be jacking up the prices for this. Typically, I see this from J. Jill, Soft Surroundings, and Chico's. I think those are the brands that use this fabric the most. I found multiple pieces in these fabrics from all of those companies and very little from any others. So just keep your eyes out and expect to get, you know, those prices for them, but expect this to go faster than most of your other pieces from those brands. So I had this listed for about 1 month and I had it listed for $34 and I got an offer for $29, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $21.54. And this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope she loves it. Okay, next up, this is a cute little top from Free People. Now this, again, kind of on the cusp of what I would pick up from Free People mainline, but this was in really, really good shape. It felt pretty brand new. And it's just this oversized navy blue cotton gauze top with a drop hem. I think this is a size small, if memory serves me right. Yeah, size small, quite oversized. But basics like this from Free People are just kind of like a maybe these days. A lot of them tend to be oversaturated, so if you are outsourcing, especially if you're outsourcing in like a regular thrift store, and you find something like this, now I'm not talking about like We The Free, I'm not talking about Free ES, I'm not talking about FP1. Those are all very different beasts and sell better than the mainline Free People. If you are out and you find something like this, do some comping in store. Do like a Google photo search. That should go really far away to getting you the exact model so you can search it and see what the sold comps are. But yeah, just exercise caution. The last thing I want, because I know that there's a lot of thrift stores out there that are jacking up the price of Free People, because Free People is such an expensive brand. If what you have is one of the more saturated pieces, I don't want you paying $10, $12 for something that you're gonna get $20 for. You know what I'm saying? That's just not gonna fit into anybody's like margin goals. This one though, I did have listed for $36. Again, it's pretty much brand new and a pretty recent style. And I got an offer for $32, which I did accept. It did take 7 months to sell though, so just kind of take that into consideration. With a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $26.42. Now that could have had a lot to do with the fact that we're in summer and this is probably a little bit more of a fall piece, but still, you know, that still really falls right in that borderline. Next up is this adorable little top from Eileen Fisher. This is something that was in and out of my closet super quickly, just really simple, double gauze, light peach, boxy fit. This is the kind of thing that is usually in and out of my closet super quick. Now, this is like one of the less significant pieces from Eileen Fisher. It's not one of the beautiful, you know, merino wool cardigans or something like that. So I'm not gonna be getting a ton of money, but if you're able to source this kind of stuff inexpensively, I know we've had a lot of conversations about Eileen Fisher in the comments. Some people just have no luck with it at all. For me, this always sells really well. Again, you know, yeah, am I getting $60 for one of these pieces anymore? No. Did this probably cost $250 new? Yes. But this kind of stuff is still in my bread and butter range in terms of what I get for it in sales. And I'm happy to do that, you know, like for somebody who wants to have a higher quality wardrobe, you know, now is a great time to pick up pieces like this and get them at a great deal. You know, I like being able to provide really high quality stuff at a good price. Like that makes me very happy. But I had this listed for $34. I had it listed for just 2 weeks. I got an offer for $25, which I did accept. With a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $21.26. And this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope she loves it. Good old Eileen Fisher, my tried and true, maybe not your tried and true, but sound off in the comments. Do you guys do well with Eileen Fisher? Does it sit for you forever? Do you only pick up large sizes, which, you know, if you are paying up in regular thrift stores and you're seeing insignificant pieces, I would highly recommend you keep it to like size large and above, but let us know how and what you do with Eileen Fisher because I love her stuff. Next up, now this is an interesting thing. This is from Lauren Moshi, and she is a designer out here in LA. She designs these kind of funky t-shirts. I've picked up 1 or 2 of her pieces. To be clear, I haven't found too many of her pieces. The first one I picked up was this. It felt very like 2010. It was black. It kind of had this like gothy teddy bear motif on it, and the label looked really nice and the quality felt really nice, and I didn't know who Lauren Moshi was, and it ended up selling for like $40 really, really quickly. So I did a little digging into Lauren Moshi, and it seems like she was kind of like a cult favorite, at least out here. If you are not from the LA area, let me know if you're familiar with Lauren Moshi and her design. Like, have you ever found it out in like Ohio? Let me know. I just get the feeling that something like this is very like of an LA style. It feels very like the hills. You know what I'm saying? Feels very Ladue. If you know, you know. Apparently kids today don't go to clubs, and that is wild. There's nothing better than going to a club, dripping sweat and dancing all night like that. That is like true collective effervescence that these kids are never going to experience. And that breaks my heart. Like, you go to concert these days and everybody's got their phones up. They're not even like paying attention. I actually went a couple years back. My best friend surprised me with a trip to Vegas, and I didn't know she was coming. My other friends brought me down, and she just like knocked on the door and was there. It was the best. The best. But she got us all tickets to go see Silk Sonic, which is Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, and they lock your phone up in these little bags for the concert. So like there's no phones in the concert. And I'm sure part of that is because they was a very limited engagement. I think they only performed like 18 times during that residency, and that's like the only times they've ever performed. So lucky to have caught it. But let me tell you, like, the experience in that concert hall was so magic. Like, every single person was engaged up on the floor, like dancing. You don't realize how much having phones and recording so much of these concerts takes away from the experience of like hearing these musicians play and watching them perform. I have been to so many concerts in my life. It was easily one of the best, if not the best concert I've ever seen. And just the vibes in that concert hall were like unmatched. It was so great. So yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, kids, go to a club, please, safely, at least once. Anyway, I had this listed for about 4 months. That was about the experience that I had with the last piece that I sold from her. I had it listed for $36 and I got an offer for $28, which I did accept. With a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $22.10, and this was a sale over on Depop. And obviously this was a boosted sale over on Depop. I've actually had a bunch of you ask if I boost over on Depop, and I absolutely do, and here's why. Even with the boosting fee, it ends up being less fees getting taken out than if it gets sold over on Poshmark or eBay or Mercari. So why not? I mean, give it a try. Like, you don't pay the fee unless you sell something. So it's truly no harm, no foul unless you sell something. If you're on Depop, and obviously you should be cross-listing. We have this concept. I'll never stop. You should absolutely be cross-listing if you're doing this seriously in any way, shape, or form. But if you're on Depop, give it a try. You know, boost 100 items. See how it does. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it again. But again, it's unlike Poshmark's boosted feature, like where you're paying for it whether you sell anything or not. You don't pay anything unless you sell something. So give it a try. Next up, this is another one I've had for a while. Not super surprised. This is All Saints. I think this might have been a little outdated when I bought it. And I think we're starting to see the trendsetters bring this kind of stuff back into style. I mean, we're very, very early days. Fashion weeks are about to start happening next month, so I'll be keeping my eyes out. It's where we usually see like the early days of what's gonna be kind of peaking over the next year. Like, I remember I did a roundup of styles and aesthetics like last spring. I remember talking about butter yellow because it was like on everybody's body at Fashion Week. And it started to get a little bit popular last summer, but it exploded this summer. So if we see what is going on at Fashion Weeks on these trendsetters, that gives us the leg up to start sourcing this stuff before it gets really hard to get your hands on. Be on the lookout. I will have a roundup after Fashion Week. I can't wait. Limbering up my scrolling thumbs, and I will report back with what I find. What's gonna be in the stores and what's gonna be happening next year, because we can see both at Fashion Weeks. So anyway, I had this one for a little over a year. Like I said, I think it might've been a little outdated when I first bought it, but now it's coming back into style, really early days. But I had it listed for $32, and I know I had dropped the price over the course of a year. And I got an offer for $25, which I gladly accepted. I was happy to be moving this on, and with a $1 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $19 even, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. That's going to New York, so I wouldn't be surprised. You generally see trends come in from New York, LA, the Pac Northwest for like the mountain states, and Tokyo. So these are always the locations to watch. Next up, we've got this bundle of 2 tops. I just picked these up. These are from Popflex, and I actually bought them for myself. And they were like right next to each other, so they must have come from the same donation. And they're the same exact shirt, same exact size. One was brand new with tags and one was not. That one was not brand new with tags, and this one was. Popflex is a brand owned by fitness YouTuber Cassie Ho, and her stuff is fantastic. If you are in any way interested in, the process of developing a product, the kind of decisions that you make in terms of what textile and why you use this hem versus this hem, or why you use, this kind of mesh or whatever. I mean, she goes into pretty great detail about why she designs each garment the way that she does. For somebody like me, like that's just scratching great part in my brain. But also, if you are in the market for like workout clothes, you should check out Popflex. They are spendy, but they are very, very nice. One of the things I like, I do have a sweatshirt from her, and I've washed it many, many times and it hasn't pilled. And I feel like that's a rarity even with nicer pieces. But yeah, I really like her stuff. These just unfortunately did not work for me. And they ended up selling as a lot. The price for the two of them was $48, and she sent me an offer for $36 for the bundle of them. And she sent me an offer for $36 for the bundle of them, which I did accept with a $4 cost at the bins total. This brought me to a profit of $26.80, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. And these were only listed for like 2 or 3 days. So if you see them in the bins, if you see Popflex in the bins, a lot of times they have the tags that rip out, so look for this logo right here. If you see them in the bins, if you see them in the thrift, it's a pretty safe bet to pick up. These were regular t-shirts and they went for $18 a piece, and that was with a bundle deal. The sweatshirts are going for like $40, $50. The pirouette skirt, which was made famous by Taylor Swift, is going, I think, like 30 or 40 bucks as well. So keep your eyes out for it. It's definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. Next up, we've got this adorable little skirt. This is from Wilfred, which is a brand sold in Aritzia. This is that like beautiful little powder pink. It's midi length. It buttons down the front. Super cute. This is one I've had a ton of interest in, but it's a pretty small size, so not super surprised that it took a little bit to sell. But Aritzia is not as hot as it was. There are still some pieces, like the effortless pants are still a really, slam dunk to pick up. So check comps if you find something from Aritzia. They have a bunch of in-house brands. Wilfred's one of them, Babaton, TNA, Denim Forum, Sunday's Best. It's not necessarily like a multi-brand retailer like a Revolve is, where these pieces are sold in Revolve and other places. They're in-house brands. Kind of like Free People in Anthropology in that sense. Much more on the minimalist tip. But I really like their stuff. I actually own a lot of their stuff. I have 2 pairs of those effortless pants and I love them. They feel so luxe on. They're not cheap, but they are beautifully made. And they still sell for like $50 to $75 on the secondhand market. So be keeping your eyes out for them. Either way, this cute little skirt I knew was gonna be a pretty decent sale, and I had it listed for $36. It took about 3 months again. I think it was a size small or extra small, it was teeny tiny. And I had it listed for $36 and it popped through as a full price sale with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $29.27, and this was a sale over on Depop. I hope she loves it. Such a cute little skirt. Very like coquette meets schoolgirl, All right, next up, we've got this cute top. This is from Amour Vert. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. This is a brand that recently closed down, but they're very high end. They had lots of boutiques out here. They were all about sustainability and really just abruptly closed up shop. And I find their stuff from time to time, not too frequently. It's very expensive. And I found that it sells very, very well for me. I generally get a pretty good price for it. This is probably the least significant of the pieces I've ever found. I found a couple beautiful like merino sweaters. I found a blazer, found a dress or two, a couple other blouses like this that were silk. This one is obviously like a tencel jersey, micro modal. This one is like a micro modal jersey, but I really like finding it, and now it is a limited supply on Earth, right? So I will be eagle eyes for it and grab it when I can find it, because people who really love the brand can no longer just go to the store and get it. Same can be said about Sundance, which on the day that this is being published, this happened a few weeks ago, but really heartbreaking that Sundance is closing its doors, though I'm not super surprised. There's a lot going on with Sundance leaving Utah, and I know that it's all under the same umbrella as the film festival under Robert Redford, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe he's finally retiring, whatever the case may be. But it's a bummer. It's a bummer these great brands are going out of business, but as resellers, that is something that should tell us that these pieces will probably see a little bit of an increase in value because, you know, they're going to be harder to get your hands on now. Anyway, I had this listed for just 1 week. Bit about my experience with this brand, so definitely keep your eyes out for it. I had it listed for $32 and I sent an offer for $28, which was accepted with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $20.40, and this was over on Poshmark. So again, love this brand. We'll pick it up anytime I see it. I recommend you do the same, and I would feel pretty comfortable paying up for it. If it's something that's marked up by your store, I would check comps, but in general, it's a pretty safe bet. Next up, this is something that I bought for me. This is from Mayo Melly, and it's like this kind of loose weave, linen, login look style dress. And unfortunately, I didn't mind the fit. I did mind the color. This kind of blue is a little too dusty and muted for me. I look dead. Jewel tones and icy pastels are my friend. Dusty pastels, decidedly not my friend. But Mayo Melly is not a particularly expensive linen brand. I've sold quite a few pieces from them. I will still pick it up anytime I see it because they do a lot of this kind of login look style. I mean, if you see a cocoon dress, even if it's cotton, if you're at the bins and you see something like that, no tag in it, you should still pick it up. I have sold untagged cotton, probably Amazon brand cocoon dresses for $25 and fast. You know, while I do tend to be pretty brand driven, there are certain things that I know I can go 100% style driven and do so confidently. So I had this listed for $36 and got an offer same day within just a few hours for $30.60, and I accepted it with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $24.98, and this was a sale over on eBay. And I'm so bummed. I wish this worked out for me. Alas, here we are. Next up, now this is adorable. This is a little cropped sweatshirt with a Keith Haring motif right here. Obviously Keith Haring here on the back. I will pick up pretty much anything with artwork from Keith Haring or Jean-Michel Basquiat. They're just kind of forever sales. Now some of the things go much higher in price. Like I've had some Basquiat things. Their estates have done collabs with H&M, with Uniqlo, and they do some things that they release like on their own. This is something I think from like the Keith Haring estate itself. But I've had some Basquiat things sell for very, very good prices. I mean, anytime you have like one of these kind of legendary artists, you should, as long as you're getting them for the right price, you should be picking up the pieces. I mean, this is not something to go and pay $10 for, but they're usually decent sales and usually fairly quick. And this is actually the second one of these sweatshirts that I have sold. So I had this one listed for just about a month, and I had it listed for $28. This is on the lower end of the pieces. Like t-shirts and stuff like this are gonna go a little bit on the lower end. It's a little bit more of a specific buyer, but if you find like a hoodie or a jacket or even like a nicer shirt, pay attention. Make sure you're using art to wear and artwear as keywords. Anyway, I had this listed for $28, got an offer for $23.50, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $20.01, and this was a sale over on Depop. So I hope she loves it. I love Keith Haring. I will pick up anything with any of his motifs on it anytime I see it, especially at the bins. And finally, this absolutely gorgeous vintage Talbot silk dress. Now, I don't do a ton of Talbots. This, of course, is something that I picked up probably more so because it is like really retro style. And of course, it is also silk, so that's a win-win. But this really gave me the vibe of like 1950s party dress. And when you have something like that, you want to make sure that you're using like retro keywords, rockabilly. Like this could easily be something that somebody who has like a whole closet of ModCloth and unique vintage dresses would pick up for themselves, you know, and be very much like in their vibe. Like I can almost see the victory rolls in somebody's hair, you know? So truly a style pickup for me on this one. So I had this one listed for just about 2 months, had a lot of interest in it pretty immediately. And I had it listed for $44 and I got an offer for $40, which I did accept again after about 2 months. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $30.18. And this was a sale over on eBay. I hope she absolutely loves it. It is just so lovely. But that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. Again, like the sales volume was up considerably, but the average sale price was not super great. And I did clear out a lot of older pieces, so that always makes me happy. And that's always an opportunity to learn a lesson. That always helps us like dial what we're picking up as we go out and about sourcing. But anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. It is always so nice to have somebody to yak with while I do that. But I've got to get these things loaded into my car and off to the post office. So guys, if you had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.